From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, July the 8th, 2024. 3 IDF soldiers were killed over the last several days in Gaza and in northern Israel, respectively. 25-year-old Major Jala Ibrahim, a company commander, was killed in Gaza fighting against terror group Hamas yesterday. And 20-year-old Staff Sergeant Eyal Mimran was killed in battle in Gaza on Thursday. Also on Thursday, 38-year-old Major in Reserve Itai Galea was killed in the Golan Heights by a rocket and drone attack from terror group Hezbollah in Lebanon. The IDF continues operating in Gaza, eliminating terrorists and terror infrastructure, today saying it launched a counter-terrorism operation in Gaza City, targeting Hamas and Islamic Jihad infrastructure. Civilians were warned and a route was opened for their safe evacuation, the IDF said. This operation targets the terrorist infrastructure, operatives, weapons and investigation, and detention rooms within the UNRWA headquarters, those of the UN Relief Agency. The IDF saying it will continue to act against terrorists operating from civilian areas in accordance with international law. Also sharing video of a recently located weapons production site with dozens of weapons, Hamas intelligence documents hidden alongside equipment and uniforms of UNRWA. The IDF also continues to defend its northern border against terror group Hezbollah in Lebanon. As we mentioned to you, the north was under a barrage of heavy rocket and drone fire on Thursday, where some 200 rockets and 20 explosive-laden drones were launched at northern Israel, killing Major Galea. Yesterday morning, 4 people were wounded, 2 of them seriously, including an American civilian, in more rocket barrages from Lebanon, targeting the lower Galilee. Rocket attacks also continued today in northern Israel, the IDF responding to the attacks from Lebanon, eliminating terrorists and terror infrastructure of Hezbollah. Well, yesterday, July the 7th, marked 9 months since the horrific Hamas attacks of October the 7th, and 9 months of captivity for the 120 hostages still being held by Hamas in Gaza. Tens of thousands gathered across Israel to mark the tragic milestone and to call for a deal for the hostages' release. Many also calling for new elections in Israel. Mothers of hostages gathered outside Israel's Knesset in Jerusalem, urging a deal and calling out the names of the hostages and replying after each name, Ima le'olam lo mevateret, Mom will never give up. Similar rallies were also held outside of Israel, including in Canada and in New York City, where the family of American-Israeli hostage Omer Nutra, Orna and Ronen Nutra, shared a message to world leaders with the crowd, saying, "Our Omer came to Israel to serve in Israel and was taken hostage while he was protecting it in the name of the Jewish principle, Arvut Hadadit, mutual responsibility that unites us. This may be our last chance to bring them home. Do it now." U.S. Congressman Brad Schneider's office was vandalized on the 4th of July in what he called a vile act of hate. Schneider said the posters of the more than 100 people still held hostage in Gaza, including 8 Americans, were ripped from the wall outside his office, shredded and tossed across the hallway. He said this was a shameful act on any day, but especially on July 4th, our country's Independence Day. Schneider also noted that his home, more than 700 miles from the Capitol, was targeted last weekend at 2:30 a.m. by approximately 50 masked demonstrators banging drums, blowing horns, and screaming anti-Semitic chants. He said these actions don't advance peace. Instead, they play directly into the hands of Hamas terrorists, enabling them to continue to hold hostage not only those they kidnapped from Israel, but all civilians in Gaza as well. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Monday, July the 8th. At 8 o'clock, Abigail Pogrebin sits with founder and senior rabbi of the IKAR community in Los Angeles, Rabbi Sharon Brous, to talk about her first book, The Amen Effect, about the power of community and showing up for each other. At 9, a look at the contributions of the first 3 Jewish Supreme Court justices. At 10, it's Good Week Israel, and at 10:30, a replay of the news. And coming up next, Shalom Hartman Institute President Donniel Hartman is in conversation with Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid at the Hartman Institute's Community Leadership Program in Israel. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, July the 8th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.